So I was thinking about fighting. I had a student I was working with, and we were doing some sparring. This was a introductory student, new to these kind of medieval sword fighting sports. And after a little while, he asked me if I could give him real fights. I'm not sure exactly what he was expecting. Whether it was I would unload and it'd be just this, violent explosion, or quite what. But I asked him if that's what he really wanted, and he said yes. He wanted to experience what fighting me would really be like. And so I thought to myself, you know what? Okay, he's a good student. He is knowledgeable. He's safe. And I did. I had a good time. I think he had a good time. But the reason I bring it up is because I learned some really interesting things. What is the difference between fighting and sparring? I've always heard it, or I should say a long time ago, I heard it described as being two totally different animals. And it is. When I spar, and keep in mind that this is a context of European, predominantly medieval martial arts, where there is a rule system set in place so that a blow delivered is a fatal blow and it ends your fight. In any kind of martial sport, there is a codified set of rules and expectations, and to win in the arena of that sport, it drastically changes how you have to approach it. Case in point, in the first UFC, a very competent boxer went up against the now famed Royce Gracie, who was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu grappler, and once taken off his feet, the boxer was incapable of fighting. Or recently, Conor McGregor, the UFC multi-time champion, challenged Floyd Mayweather, a multi-time heavy champion boxer, to a boxing match, and McGregor came up short. But again, it becomes a context of what your sport is and what it does and how it plays out in the arena that it is in. And so I was trying to think about, what did I do when I fought that was universal? Are there things when I'm sparring that create a certain type of environment, especially within the context of these sports? Is there some things I do when I fight that only exist in the context of those sports? And what happens when I fight for real? And I have had those experiences, so I can pull back on them and say, what did I do in times when I was in actual physical danger and had to use violence? And so I guess I should start by framing a little bit of context of the different sports, at least that I fight in. And they are predominantly the SCA, which uses armor and wooden weapons similar to boakin made out of rattan. It generally involves hard concussive thrusts and strikes to the body, stabs to the face lightly, and blows to the limbs. Body and face and head blows are wind conditions. The blows to the limbs incapacitate, making you have to take an arm or leg. It's an interesting sport. It allows for a lot of very hard-hitting impact. And as far as swords go, it creates a situation where everything has to be shoulder and hip. The kind of delicate wrist motions you would see in a lot of Eastern martial arts, or even in fencing, or even some of the more minute details you see in like longsword and buckler, like in HEMA or I-33, they don't work. Slashing, slicing blows don't do anything. You have to cleave based on the context of what the sport is. It has to hit. And it's because armor changes your fight. The other thing is, when dealing with armor, it weighs on your body. You have to deal with the weight, the heat, how it affects your breathing, how it carries the weight on your body, and how much stamina you have. Fighting in armor is definitely its own skill. D&D nerds out there just know fighting in heavy armor is no joke. Or medium armor. Sometimes light armor. That's why you have to get those skills based on your character classes. So that's, the SCA's context of its heavy armored combat. I fight in a Viking reenactment style, which uses steel weapons and almost no safety gear whatsoever, other than hands. And in this variant, it is almost the complete inverse. Everything must be delicate and precise, and slicing blows, and going from that very hard bang, bang to these delicate slices and cuts that are all finesse was challenging. But, as they say, learning how to fight hard, that is a way. Learning how to fight soft, delicate, that's another way. If you can do both, that person's dangerous. And I fight in Boffer games, Dagorhir or Belagarth. At least enough so that I do that with some friends and my kids, and it, again, it's this high. Suddenly you have this high energy fight, which is unlike the other two. This has no armor and the weapons are safe, so you can just wail on people and jump around, and move around, and it's really intense. And so athleticism and natural physicality can really win out in a lot of ways. And targeting. You can't hit hands in the SCA. You can't hit the head in Viking. You can't hit the lower leg in either. But in Dagorhir, Foam, you sure can hit the lower leg. So things transition a lot. Right, sport. Look, just some context of where I'm coming from. And I know this is going to be a long video, so bear with me. So what is it when you go into these sports and you go and fight, and you know your victory conditions, I can win by doing X things. I know the way I'm going to approach this. This is going to get kind of long. I'm actually going to break this into two videos. This is video one. I'm going to stop here and make video two. Be right back.